Today, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and walk through how to create a CRM lookup field that you are able to leverage within Pardot. Let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to log into my Salesforce account. And then we're going to go ahead and go into setup, which would then reflect the screen that you're seeing here. We're going to go on the top right to the Object Manager tab, top left, excuse me. And we're going to go to the right side where we find a quick find search bar, not the top search, on the right, quick find. And we're going to just type in lead. You can also just scroll down and find that object. We're going to go to the lead object, and then we're going to go on the left navigation to fields and relationships. Here, we're going to go over to the right side again, and there's the button that's called new. For those of you watching, I am a system administrator in this sandbox, so I have pretty much access to everything. If you don't see the steps up until now, you may need to work with your system administrator in order to either get you the permissions so you can do it yourself or work with them to get this done. All right, now we're going to create a new custom field on the lead object. And that field is going to be a lookup relationship. We're going to scroll down and we're going to go to next. And we're going to say related to, and it's going to be the user. Okay. We're going to go ahead and call this service manager. But you can call it whatever you want. Sales territory manager, sales manager, anything that isn't the standard out of the box functionality. You can add a description if you wish. I like to do that for all of my fields that I create. Right. The child relationship name is leads. We will want to leave that box checked. There's a show filters down here. We don't need any of that at this point, but you do have those options. We're going to click next. I just want to make sure that the B2B integration user can see it. Everything else, it's optional for your org. Just going to click next. And I do want it on all my page layouts, but again, you may only have one and that's totally okay. Or you may have more than 4, right? So wherever you want it to be added, please do so. We're gonna go ahead and click and just save. Okay. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look up a lead. I go to another app so I can do that real quick. I go to my leads tab, change this filter to all open leads. And I'm gonna click on Pardot Boxer. There is now a field called Service Manager that as an individual, I can come in here and search for things for content the user. There you go, it's their content team, and I can click save. So that's step number 1, and this is, specifically if you only need this for leads, you're done. But most of the fact is you'll start this as a lead and you'll need it as a contact too. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna repeat the steps and we're gonna go over into setup one more time. And then we're going to go to the object manager again, but this time we're looking for contact. So when you have a lead and you convert it into a contact, right, you want that information to carry over. So we're going to go to fields and relationships one more time on the left side of the screen. And on the right side, we're going to click new one more time. We're going to go ahead and do lookup relationship one more time. And related to, again, I'm going to make it to the user. Oops. Effectively tying the user to the contact. I'm going to call this service manager as well. You do not want any discrepancies. Field contact. Now descriptions could be slightly different. I didn't copy and paste, but this has to be the same. And so we'll leave everything as it was and we'll click next. Again, I want to make sure on the next step that B2B integration user is checked, and it is. And I click next. I'm going to add it to all my layouts and then click save. Okay. We'll go check a contact in just a second, but the next thing that we want to do is we actually want to go back to the object manager tab one more time and look up lead. This is a step that a lot of people miss when they're setting up fields. Either they'll just set up on the leads or just on the contacts. And when you try to find the opposite, right, object in Pardot, it won't work. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go up to the top right where it says map lead fields. Here you'll see a mapping. So on the left side, you see leads, and on the right side, you see accounts. I'm not really looking for accounts. I'm looking for contacts. On the top left, I'm going to click on contact, and that switches the tab. Notice everything here says none. You want to check your field, especially if you want the information to carry over from a lead to a contact. Now, that's not always the case. We don't always need that. But if you do, you need to make sure you create the field and on the contact object, and then you map it how we're about to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down, and we should be looking for service manager, excuse me. So we have this, and we have service manager. It automatically popped up because I use the same naming convention on both, right? So now they're matching, and I can click save. Okay. The last thing we're going to do is I'm going to go back here, and then I'm going to go to a contact first and show you just any random contact. I'm just going to show you that the field is there, service manager. But what we're actually going to do is we're going to go back to Pardot. So Pardot is a lead, and I'm going to convert Pardot into a contact. So contact team is a service manager. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and convert Pardot into a contact. Create a new account, unless we had one already. We'll create a new contact. I don't need to create an opportunity, so that'll be fine. And then I'll click convert. Right, now I'm going to go to Pardot as a contact. So I'm going to go to Pardot as a contact under the details tab. And if you see here, service manager, we carried over to contact team. If you hadn't created the contact field, or if you didn't map it, this would not be possible. So you want to make sure that those steps are set up not only for this field, but for others. Now, this does take a couple of minutes to sync over, but we want to go into Pardot. So I'm going to go to my app launcher and look up Pardot Lightning. I'm going to close this extra tab that we won't need. The very last step, again, you can follow along with the instructions listed below this video, would be under the Pardot settings tab in the Pardot app. For this, you also have to be administrator on the Pardot side. On the left navigation, we're going to go to object and field configurations, and we're going to go down to prospect fields. Here, what we're going to do is we're going to click add custom field on the custom field section of the fields. And I'm going to scroll down to salesforce.com field name, so the 4th row. I'm going to click here on this drop down, and then I should be able to scroll down and see service. Let's see. It has not synced over, so I'm going to sync this for a second. Sometimes any field takes, a couple of minutes for it to appear over here. So I click refresh, and now if we scroll down here, we see Service Manager right there. One more thing, if you would have created the fields on the leader or the contact, on both, but you didn't link them, you would see 2 fields with the same name. So you don't want that to happen either, because you don't want to have to choose between one or the other. You do want to link them first, and then you only see one. So I'm going to click that, and then I'm going to type out Service Manager. And then this type is automatically CRM user. There's no, we don't need to do that because there's no drop down. We will be using Salesforce value because Pardot will not be able to overwrite this. And then we'll click custom field. Okay. It's telling me if I want to resync, I'm going to say yes. I only said yeah because there's only 31 people in your organization. If this is something that's brand new, you don't have to click resync. But if it's something that existed there that you're just trying to leverage, you would want to resync. All right, now that that's there, we can go to the Pardot emails tab, for example. Let's see if it'll show up. We'll go to this test email template, and then we're going to go up to the sending tab. And now we have a new CRM user custom field. So I'm going to click on that. Again, if you have multiple ones, you'll see a pick list, but we only have service. So now, because not everybody would have a service manager, you do have to choose still a specific or a general user as a backup, just like when you do for a sign-in account user. But that will pull the details directly from that user. So it'll say start contact team, for example, and then if I had a phone number, a website, a job title tied to that user, you can use that in those tokens as well in the email. But this would be essentially the way to set it up. And then you can do a static. So if there isn't a service manager, it'll just come from Mary Jones, for example. And then you just click publish, and it just works. So the last thing you would want to check is after you have sunk over everybody, there's Berta Boxer. And this is still syncing, but we're just going to cheat and cause it to sync quickly. All right, so we're still waiting on that to come over. So this was Berta. Yeah, there she is. So we're just waiting for this to finish syncing, but those are things that you have to kind of check for just to make sure that, there it is, start content team. So now you can make your dynamic list, and now you can send your emails and you're confident, but you want to make sure that you build a dynamic list based on this, just to make sure that you get an estimate at least of the count that is in Pardot with that, and then you can you can send the actual email so it picks up this. If it doesn't have anything here, it'll send from Mary Jones in our example previously. So today we covered how to set up a new CRM user lookup field on both leads and contacts, how to map it, and then how to sync it over into Pardot. We went ahead and checked for the two things. One, on the actual template to make sure that it appeared there as a new field. And then lastly, we came to Berta Boxer's record here to just make sure that the service manager field was actually populated. So with that, if you have any questions, please follow us and subscribe to the Spot and Pardot. And I'll see you soon.